Editor's comment on Chapter 1152 just changed everything. For the first time in a while, the editor's note didn't hold back. It came loaded with excitement and intensity, a far cry from the more reserved tones we've seen in recent chapters. The comment, Luffy, in the form of Nika, will bring chaos and amusement. He is the king of freedom. It almost sounds like a prophecy, a warning, or perhaps the beginning of a new awakening, because what we're seeing isn't just Luffy fighting, it's the world starting to realize what his devil fruit really is. To this day, Oda hasn't revealed the full potential of Luffy's fruit. We only know fragments that the Gorosei themselves fear. According to them, the only limit to its power is the imagination of its user, and that changes everything. It means Luffy's strength isn't bound by logic, physics, or even conventional battle strategies. His power flows from pure creativity, from the mind of a man who believes in dreams more than rules. But here's the twist. Luffy still thinks it's the Gomu Gomu no Mi. He still sees himself as a rubber man. He hasn't yet realized that what he holds is the Hido Hido no Mi, model Nika, the embodiment of absolute freedom, a fruit that doesn't just defy order, it reinvents it. And the day that truth finally hits him, the moment Luffy fully awakens to what he is, that's when everything breaks open. That's when we'll see a level of creative madness unlike anything in the history of One Piece. Powers that reshape reality, that bend the world to joy, laughter, and rebellion. That's when Luffy becomes the true nightmare of the world government. Not because he's strong, but because he makes the impossible possible. So when Luffy eventually stands before Imu, it won't just be a clash of strength. It'll be a cosmic confrontation between knowledge and denial, past and present, memory and myth. There might not even be a fight at first. Just silence. A silence heavy with recognition, the echo of an era long erased. Because Imu won't be looking at a pirate. She'll be staring at the living echo of Nika, the return of Joy Boy. And in that moment, when Luffy dances and fights in that chaotic, unshackled rhythm, laughing like a child, smiling like the sun, Imu's mask will crack. Not from fear of Luffy's power, but from the resurrection of a nightmare she thought she buried 800 years ago. A face from the war she tried to erase. A legend she once defeated, now reborn. And then Oda might finally give us the moment we've all been waiting for. A flashback, not just any flashback, but the flashback. The truth behind the war that changed the world forever. Joy Boy versus Imu. How it ended. Who stood with him. Why he failed. And maybe, just maybe, and we'll learn that the Nika fruit wasn't just a devil fruit, it was a promise. A legacy passed down from one bearer to the next, waiting for the one person who could awaken it, fully aware of its meaning. That person is Luffy. In that moment of awakening, Luffy won't just have power, he'll understand it. He'll realize the truth, that his fruit was never about rubber. It was the embodiment of freedom, a limitless force shaped not by muscle, but by imagination. And when that awareness takes hold, the battle won't shift because Luffy got stronger. It will shift because Luffy becomes free. And only then will the real story begin. Once Luffy breaks free from the chains of ignorance that have bound him since the start of his journey, everything changes. He won't just be the wild, impulsive fighter we've always known. He'll become something greater, a leader who understands that his choices ripple across nations, that every punch, every step, every smile can shift the fate of entire peoples. And when he sees his crew bound before him, his friends who've sailed the world beside him, their dreams hanging by a thread when he sees the warriors of Elbaf twisted into monstrous puppets, their wills crushed by Emu's hand in that moment, there will be no hesitation. That will be the spark, the birth of an unbreakable resolve. A moment of pure, righteous rage. From there, the tide of battle shifts, not just because of strength, but because of will, because of justice, because of the symbol Luffy has become. He'll shatter the chains around his crew, restore the Elbafians' minds, and break Imu's illusion of eternal control. He'll dismantle the nightmare that once seemed untouchable, and tear down the twisted plan to enslave the greatest island in the world. But when Imu realizes that all her pieces have fallen, when the throne begins to crumble, and the return of Nika becomes undeniable, that's when she'll finally play her last card, the one she swore she'd never use unless the world was about to collapse. Uranus, the godlike weapon that erased the entire island of Lulusia in an instant, leaving no trace. The divine force of absolute destruction. But this time, will it even work? No, because Luffy is no longer just a runaway pirate, not even just an overpowered warrior. Luffy is imagination itself, a being no longer bound by logic or laws, but one who creates them, born from the laughter in his heart. Now picture this. At the very moment Uranus begins to ignite that divine weapon of apocalyptic destruction, Luffy doesn't flinch. He evolves. Just like he did against Kaido and Wano, he transforms again, but this time, grander, mightier, freer. A sky giant stretching beyond the clouds, born not of rage, but of pure will. His eyes blaze with determination. He reaches towards the heavens, not just to block Uranus, but to erase it, to obliterate one of the world's most feared weapons in a single mythic punch. Because that's what Luffy represents now. The proof that imagination is stronger than destruction, that when freedom and willpower unite, even the gods must tremble, and even legendary weapons can fall. What makes Luffy's showdown with Imu so much deeper than a simple hero versus villain fight is that it's really a clash of ideas. Absolute freedom versus absolute control. Imu isn't just after world domination. She aims to erase every threat to her eternal order. Every idea, every people, every voice that carries even the slightest seed of freedom must be silenced. Meanwhile, Luffy doesn't shout revolution. He lives it. With every island he visits, he leaves a mark, liberating others without even meaning to, simply because his nature rejects chains and injustice. That's what makes him Imu's greatest threat. Ironically, Luffy's fruit, the Nika fruit, stands as the direct opposite of Imu's dream. It's a fruit of chaos, laughter, and freedom. Everything Nika represents is a curse to Imu, whose power is built on silence, obedience, and fear. This fight won't just be a test of strength or skill. It's a philosophical battle, unraveling threads of a distant past. Maybe we'll discover that Imu didn't just hide history's secrets. She harbors a personal fear of Nika. Perhaps she once belonged to a people who rebelled against Joy Boy or witnessed his downfall firsthand. And here's the shocking possibility. She may have even known him personally. All of this will open a new understanding, not only of the ancient war, but why Imu has survived so long, and why Joy Boy's will hasn't been erased despite 800 years passing. Luffy won't win just because he's stronger. He wins because he carries the hearts of the people. He doesn't rule anyone, but he draws everyone to him. That invisible power is what will make Imu face, perhaps for the first time, her inevitable end. And maybe, before she falls, we'll see a moment of confession, a tear, a moment when we realize Imu wasn't just a tyrant, but an ancient being, terrified of Nika's light, desperately trying to snuff it out, unaware that the sun can never be extinguished. In the end, Luffy smashing Uranus won't just be an act of raw power. It will embody the undefeatable spirit of freedom, the force of imagination that shatters the chains of impossibility. When Luffy rises into the sky, he won't face Uranus as an enemy. He'll face it as a symbol of oppression, one that will be crushed by a fist carrying the will of millions. His punch will declare loud and clear, no weapon, no matter how devastating, can stand against the power of a free man who chooses his own destiny.